The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the express written consent of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, or Spaced Out Radio Limited is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Scout 6316, 8.8 for 6,000.
Scout 6316, North Approach, gonna maintain 3,000, I'm 1 for the right.
3,000, Scout 6316.
Redwood 811.
What the heck is that in Canada? We are so happy that you're here, and we are coming to you live from Uncle Jimbo's cabin, sharing interdimensional space and time simultaneously between the Pacific Northwest, the Desert Southwest, and somewhere on the East Coast where Eric Markham is going to come in and join us tonight to talk about alien hybrids and get nerdy. We want to welcome in everyone listening on WQEE 99 Rock the Key in Noonan, Georgia, at spacedoutradio.com on Spreaker, on the United Public Radio Network, on Renegade Talk Radio, and the High Plains Talk Radio Network. Thank you so much for being here. Many, many, many thanks to Ron Bumblefoot Thal, formerly of Guns N' Roses, currently of Art of Anarchy. He creates the music that makes Spaced Out Radio Weekend rock, and we love him for it. Thank you, Ron. Also, if you are crazy about Facebooking, Twittering, all that sort of good stuff, find us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like at Spaced Out Radio Show. On Facebook, you can follow me at Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. Tune us in on TuneIn. Download our tunes and our shows from iTunes. And we're also on Radio Guide FM, TalkStream Live, and on Stitcher. And, of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. If you go to patreon.com, we have some cool offers for you, our listeners there as well. Make sure you check those out. If you want to take part in the show, sign into one of our chat rooms on Spreaker or on the chat room on Facebook at the SOR Space Travelers Club. If you head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, for just $5 a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. We offer some pretty decent swag, and it's our opportunity to give back to you, our valued listener. We have a new section now. It's called The Encounter, and it deals with everything paranormal, courtesy of our editors, Eric Markham and Everett Thiemer. And you can check out Dave Scott's latest blog there as well. And if you've had an experience that you can't explain, fill out an SOR Sightlines report. Our researcher, Mike Schmidt, is ready to find out what's going on with you and help you out and keep it completely confidential. Well, everybody who's here tonight, thank you for being here. We are going to talk a bit about alien hybrids, and I'm hoping that people in chat can get involved, although I have got so many websites up, and I'm here with Eric Markham, who is a scientist, a clinical laboratory scientist and medical technologist. And, I figure he's got all this stuff in his brain, so I have a ton of websites up to look up things to talk about hybrids, which is funny because I also have a ton of experience with hybrids. Well, not a ton, maybe like 100 pounds or 200 or 300 or something like that. But I'm about to get on to the SOR Space Travelers Club so that I can look at the chat room and say hi to you all. If you have a question tonight about alien hybrids, whether it's very personal or not very personal, I can tend to get personal. If you feel like you're going to be squeamish about that, please don't. We'll be kind. But I will do my best to answer anything from the experiencer standpoint, and we're just going to be talking about some of the ways that, some of the things that have been reported about alien hybrids, some of the theories about alien hybrids, and what might be the science behind that. What do we know about our own science that leads us to believe that, yes, it's very possible there can be and are alien hybrids out there in the universe. So I think Eric is back. Are you back, Eric?
Yes, I'm back.
So what do you think about alien hybrids?
I am kind of surprised. I'm in the skeptic. I'll put my skeptic hat on. If they exist, I am amazed at the scientific level of the creatures that are creating these hybrids and the way that they've been able to get around the human leukocyte antigen immune system. Just the way they've somehow figured out how to piggyback into our DNA kind of leaves me astounded, because we can't even transplant organ to organ within the human species without getting down on such a level of compatibility, like on a molecular level. The fact that they can inject a completely different species into our genome leaves me kind of awestruck.
Yeah, how would you do that? I mean, would that, and would the genes even be the same? So you think it's much more complicated than, say, what we're doing with transgenics today in terms of inserting different kinds of genes directly into others?
Well, a lot of the transgenic, like the transgenic mice, they accept the alien DNA, but they have no immune system to fight off any of the markers. Those animals are kept. Last I studied it, they're kept in, like the bubble boy type environment where there's no way for them to be exposed to any pathogen, because it would rip through them like, Sherman went through Georgia.
In 2 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't. There's nothing, if you have no immune system, if there's nothing to fight the alien genes, then you're not going to have a reaction. But in a normal living organism like you and I, we have an immune system. So how are they getting around that? It's kind of interesting to me.
Right. How would they get around? Yeah, because if you have a hybrid and you're taking a hybrid, which is something I have experienced happening, so I can't say I didn't experience that. I always wondered as well. What I was thinking, because of implants and because we don't know what implants do, I was wondering if there is a way that implants might be perhaps a modifier or a filter of the blood and the lymph in the body that would change the way immunity worked and would also change the way. So, for example, when I had a pregnancy that I don't think we were talking about this on air, but I shared with Eric that way back when I had a suspicious pregnancy that disappeared, and I had an iffy blood test, and I asked Eric, I said, can you get a pregnancy test that is right on the line? You can't tell if it's yes, and you can't say if it's no. And what did you tell me?
Yes, we do have. Usually, if you do a screening test, it's equivalent. You look at it, and it's like you go to the serum test which is much more sensitive, and you'll call it based on that particular, the serology test off the analyzer, as opposed to 3 drops of urine in a plastic device that has some antibodies on it. So I have seen them where they just, they're right on the cusp, but you can make a call. I mean, we have a tiebreaker test, so there is a way to determine one way or the other.
Yeah, so
But
for
the
me,
original screening can be just barely like on the threshold.
right. And it could go either way. So yeah, what happened with me, I'm not sure what they did in the lab. This was a school health service, the University of Massachusetts. And what happened is that because of the way I checked out, the size of my uterus was 5 months pregnant, which was like not even conceivable with if it had happened humanly. And I had this weird on the border test. And, within 6 weeks, actually it was 4 weeks, we scheduled an ultrasound, and the ultrasound person only came in once a month. So we scheduled an ultrasound. I had come in just the day after she was there, and we had the schedule a month later, and the appointment disappeared. So I called to say I was running late, and they said, "You're not on the schedule. We don't have you down." And at that point, I knew something was going to happen. Went to bed that night, woke up in the morning, no more baby bump, which had gotten to be actually quite large. And so we didn't really get a chance to get any pictures of what that was. But during that whole process, Eric, I was really thinking, I wonder if there is a way that if you're using implants, you could make it hard to tell that there's a pregnancy, hard for the immune system to attack it, hard for other things. So what do you think?
Okay, now we have ways of injecting, it's common if we find out a woman is carrying an Rh negative child or an Rh positive child and she's Rh negative or vice versa, we can attach an immune globulin to her immune cells so they can't pass the placenta. It's just like creating a filter that the cells carry with them, so that, they can't get across the placenta and attack the child.
Oh, interesting.
It could be something. Yeah, we issue it once in a while. It's usually what happens if you're an Rh negative woman and you have an Rh positive baby. During the first time, there's no big deal. Unless there's a placental eruption or some place where the antibodies are created. Something stimulates the immune system. Second time, you will have the immune cells in your system, and that baby won't stand a chance. So it's called Rh immune globulin. Based on, there's another test we do to determine how much of this stuff to give the pregnant woman, and that will keep any of the antibodies from going across and harming the baby. So if there's, so we have a technology for in one case. Now we're dealing with, if these, we don't know any of the, we're not sure what, maybe they figured out a way to use radio waves or some kind of frequency.
Right.
To do the same thing we're doing with immune globulin. And in that case, I guess it could work. But, just the idea that making a chimera, a creature that has the genetic structure of two different species within it, is something that I don't think, at least it hasn't hit the journals that I can read. Now, I don't know what's getting passed out there in black budget land, but so far, the only things that could be considered chimeric would be the transgenic mice and rats. But like I said before, they have no immune system. So there's nothing to reject that non-self. Because if your immune system is functioning correctly, it has a sense of self and a sense of non-self. And it's that self, non-self trigger that creates, gives you your allergic reaction or creates, immune diseases. And
Right.
it's the autoimmune diseases where the body loses the ability to recognize self, and that's where you get things like lupus or, so you just, pick your favorite, the autoimmune diseases.
Well, there is a correlation. We don't know if it's a causation because we don't know what causes it, but there are quite a lot of women, a lot of abductee women who do end up, for at least some period of time, having autoimmune diseases. I had, in my 20s, when this was all going on, I ended up having chronic fatigue / some fibromyalgia. And we thought that I had, here is an interesting thing. We thought that I had mono because my boyfriend had mono, and I started showing symptoms of mono just after he did. But when they went to test it, they didn't see any mono. So does that happen? Or would that have perhaps been screened out some way?
Well, mono is what we call mono is caused by the Epstein-Barr virus, and it's a latex test. You take the patient's serum and mix it with some latex particles that have the antibodies to the Epstein-Barr virus. And if they agglutinate, you form clumps while you rock it gently, that, you're positive. You can be in an early enough stage of the disease that your immune system hasn't produced the markers that assay looks for.
Okay.
But if you're symptomatic,
yeah,
you should have. If you're symptomatic, you should have the markers. I mean, it should produce it's called Monolex is the name of the test we use. So, you ought to get some kind of reaction.
Yeah, they didn't get anything. So, but I did end up having chronic fatigue. That was like mono that lasted until I became a Reiki master, and then it went into, so it was like 3 years.
Have you ever been tested for Lyme disease?
I have not been tested for Lyme disease, but I muscle test a lot. It was not a big thing when I was growing up and when I had chronic fatigue, though one of my neighbors who ran an orchard had it at that time, but it wasn't something that they routinely would look for. Why do you?
Well, a lot of times they didn't know about it. I don't think they discovered the actual organism. It's a very tiny, we're talking tiny anyway with bacteria, but under normal light microscopy at 1000x, you can see most of the pathogens. Borrelia burgdorferi, which is the pathogen that causes Lyme disease, it's on the threshold of light microscopy being able to see it. So for years, there was no Lyme disease because they didn't have the pathogen. They didn't know that people were carrying this stuff in their system for years without realizing that there was a pathogen there. Now, once we discovered Borrelia burgdorferi, and then it was a matter of finding serological tests, because most diseases you're looking for, it's an indirect, like with syphilis. The only way to cultivate the spirochete that causes syphilis is inside rabbit testicles. Well, bad for the rabbits, bad for the patient because it takes forever. So what you do is you look for, like in the case of syphilis, we can have rapid plasma reagent. We're looking for it's not a direct test for the organism. It's something that the organism causes. It's like a byproduct we test for.
Of what okay.
It's like with RPR, it's like you're not directly detecting the organism that causes syphilis, but you're catching a substance that is created because you have So there's indirect testing methods, and they try to find these so that you know you don't have to take a chance on taking a blood smear, gram staining it, and hoping to God you find this itty bitty tiny little rod floating around in the blood.
Right.
So that's the serology tests now find this stuff a lot better than we used to.
So here's a question for you. In pregnancy, so you have two ways of going about pregnancy test. But say somebody is pregnant with a hybrid, they have a pregnancy test. It doesn't really show one way or another. They do the serum test. It's kind of on the line, maybe a little over. But what would there be other indirect tests that would look for pregnancy or look for?
I'm wondering if with the hybrid that. Okay, human chorionic gonadotropin is the main marker for pregnancy. That's a hormone that tells the woman's body, hey, you're going to need this uterine lining for the next 9 months. Don't have your period this month. Or,
right.
While you're carrying this little parasite around. And then there's, prolactin is another hormone marker. I'm wondering how late a term, to formulate my answer here, how late term do most women carry the hybrid embryo or the fetus?
In my experience, the longest, and I think there's a speeding up process, which I want to talk to you about, how you would speed up an embryo to make it grow faster in terms of growth hormone. So in the one in that I was talking about where they were looking at it and I was 5 months pregnant, we did end up finding out that it was not actually a hybrid. It was a human child that was going to have so many problems the aliens took it and worked on it, and it's actually still a person who is still alive today. But they were sped up in utero, so they were conceived in early January and born in April, and they were probably a good 7.5 months along by then.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so they have a way of speeding it up. And my other pregnancies, I would say 3 months would be periods. Yeah.
That might be, okay, we might have a clue here then, because maybe they can only suppress. They might be able to suppress the immune system for that 3 months, or they can trigger something to keep the remnant HCG from, you get a spike at first, and then it would die off if it wasn't interacting with your immune system or your body like a normal fetus. They may have some way around that, but the bad news is you can only do it for 3 months, and then you get a critical, you remove the fetus or it gets reabsorbed or something. There might be something in that.
Is there a spike after 3 months? Just a natural spike?
Usually, what will happen is, I used to have. Am I running one? It'd be awesome if I just happened to have one I was running so that I could get that. No, I don't. I can probably find it. There's a sliding scale, and it, depending on the amount of serum HCG you have, tells you how far, we can actually predict how far along the gestational curve a woman is based on her HCG.
Oh,
and
wow.
It seems to me it spikes out at 12 to 18 weeks. It hits a peak, and then as the pregnancy progresses, it's still there, but it's on a declining curve. And depending on where that curve is, we can detect gestational age.
Okay. So, yeah, so 3 months. So it might be that they can keep the immune system in check for 3 months.
Or there's a way, maybe they're, I don't know, maybe they're blocking the natural rhythm of the pregnancy. Yeah, it's kind of, that's a bad thing about these little, us nerding out, it makes my brain go down 15 directions at once.
And then your mouth goes, wait.
But if this, but then that, yeah. So, but
well, I'm just thinking about also, like if you can you turn on different genes to do different things? So, for example, if you have implants in a body that's carrying a hybrid, would it be and say they work with fermions or they work with quote unquote light of some kind? Is it possible that you could activate or deactivate genes that would create specific immune responses?
Yes. I actually got to hear one of the pioneers of that kind of research back in my college days, back in the early 90s. His name was Dr. Joey Barnett. He worked at Vanderbilt, and he was discovering what factors caused the germ layers in an embryo to develop into, this layer becomes skeletal, bone. This layer differentiates and becomes skin. This one becomes organs. And he was starting to figure out how to turn these different germ layers into specific organs or specific tissues. So we had that in our own science 20 years ago. And so, we were starting to unlock that. And then when they started looking at the introns or, some of the junk DNA when they were doing the Human Genome Project, what happens if you turn some of these introns and some of this junk DNA on? So there's been some attempts within our own scientific community. So I'm going to say unequivocally, yes, you can. Okay. I've done it with bacteria, which is a far cry from, of course, it's far cry from humans, but I was able to trigger chondroitinase activity in an organism just by, splicing into the plasmid DNA. And I could create, we could create, just a little bit of a horror story. We could, just as easy as mixing up Kool-Aid, we could make E. coli that was ampicillin resistant.
Oh, no, don't even say that. I'm just thinking, oh, my God, we can't go to war. We'll have all sorts of ampicillin-resistant E. coli everywhere.
Well, the thing is, you would make your cultures, and then you would streak the cultures on a agar plate that had a specific amount of ampicillin in it. You wanted to work on the ones that could grow on that. Those were the ampicillin resistant, which meant where, because where ampicillin resistance attaches to the DNA, where to put your other, use what they're called restriction endonuclease. They know how to cut the DNA at a given start and a given end for you to splice whatever else you want into. So that was the idea behind making that was your first step in doing gene manipulation in bacteria.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, that brings me to a darker part of the subject, because I was just thinking, Eric, if you can do that, just think about what aliens can do if they wanted to attack us with genetic engineering. And so I did, as I'm looking at alien-human hybrids, I did, because if you go out and look for alien-human hybrids on the web, you'll end up coming across Marshall V. and Summers' alien invasion website. You'll end up coming across the threat. And what's interesting to me about these sites, to me it seems like a demonization of alien-human hybrids when there are so many other ways through genetic engineering that aliens could invade. I mean, literally, what do you need? You just need to make a superbug, right?
Yeah, I mean, look what we did to look what the Spanish did when they started conquering the New World. They called the Black Swath because where they went, the old world diseases were meeting the New World indigenous population who had no immunity to them. Now that's just a disease that's from one continent to another. You throw something out there that can attack human immune cells or attack, just most of what causes disease reactions is your body is trying to defeat, especially with a virus. This virus is replicating and your body's trying to fight it, and the more it fights it, the more it's a flywheel effect. The more the body fights it, the more viruses produce, and eventually it just breaks the body, like Ebola, where you kind of dissolve from the inside. So, I mean, weaponized. We've already got a pathogen that's 99% more, has a 99% mortality rate. If ET wanted to wipe us off the planet, they could do it with a weaponized form of Ebola or Marburg. There's so many out there. I mean, the song and dance about doing it slowly through hybridization, I'm not sure I get that. There's easier, like you said, there's easier ways to do it.
Yeah, there's easier ways to
and faster ways.
And faster ways, and ways that don't take so much time and energy. And for a lot of us who have hybrid children that we know, or non-hybrid children, or very, I don't know what you would call them, they're almost human hybrid children, they live for a long time. So there's some responsibility of care that's going on, that is going for us, in my experience, and whether you're skeptical or not, that's been my experience, that does not speak to a desire to be harmful to humans or the human race. It speaks to, okay, we have a living being, and they're going to be living for a long time, and we will do our best with the responsibility of care for this being. And how many times can we say that here on Earth now with what we're doing, at least in the U.S. with healthcare, etc., that we are taking responsibility of care for the human beings that we produce here. So I don't, regardless of the fact that genetic engineering could be a way of taking over the Earth, why bother? I guess is my question. Maybe somebody on the chat room will answer, well, you would bother because you'd have to come up with a really good answer, because the responsibility of care is significant for any child. And those of you who have children, it's significant. So anyway. I
just got to wonder, though, I mean, with now you have seen, you had hybrid children, or are you one of the people that has been actually introduced to your hybrid children? Have you seen some of your hybrid? You've interacted.
I've seen and interacted with my children are actually, what's interesting about my case is that the children that are, the first child that I was really introduced to looked very human, and she had a human father. But she was basically designed, or she was brought about by alien intervention and lives with the aliens. And the father, later in my life, in my late 40s, presented himself to me, and I went back and I remote viewed it and checked it out, and he was the guy. And so he was another experiencer. He'd been going through regressions. And I had written a story in my book about seeing him at my window. And he said, I'm pretty sure I'm him. He came up to me at at the UFO conference and said, "I'm pretty sure I'm him." And I looked at it and I was like, "Oh yeah, you are him." It was really weird. But she doesn't look. What's interesting is we're both apparently human, although I think there could be, like, how would it be splicing in alien DNA? Because what I've been told is that I'm very late stage of something that's good, that has certain capabilities that the aliens like to be able to have. This does not mean I'm here to take over the United States, because look at me, I'm on Spaced Out Radio. Come on, guys. And in Canada. But that's what I've been told. So my understanding is they put the two of us together to get a set of something that we both had. So it was more
that's
of
just selective breeding. Yeah, that's having a genetic expression that they're trying to. It's a dihybrid back cross probably. But they're taking two people that have a trait that they want and putting them together, hoping to create a single organism that has more of that trait.
Right, dihybrid.
So it's probably a dosage. So it's probably a dosage effect gene, and it's something they're wanting to. Did they ever get into the nuts and bolts of it with you, or say, look, it's a homozygous recessive gene that you both have, kind of like Rh negative. You're not going to be Rh negative unless both parents are Rh negative. You can't. Any other Rh will override Rh negative in the gene splicing. If the mother or the father, if either parent is positive, the offspring are always going to be positive. So if it's both of them have the recessive gene, then you can pass on that trait because there's no other choice. This gene plus this gene are going to equal this offspring or this genotype. So whatever you guys had, it's probably a homozygous recessive trait that it takes two carriers of that trait to produce an offspring to carry it on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know kind of why they were interested in me, because I can pilot UFOs, but I'm not sure if that's the only reason. But my understanding is that didn't come about easily. That program had been in place for a while and didn't come about easily. And I don't know that particular child is doing that thing, which, I've never seen her do that thing, and we've never talked about that in any of our conversations. So it might be that they were looking for something else, or they were looking for a bridge to lead to something else. But what's interesting about him is he has these very unusual eyes. They are not just hazel; they can be blue and brown and green, and they will change colors between all of the spectrum of colors, which is weird. Yeah. And it's like,
I've seen people with hazel eyes that could darken depending or lighten depending on mood, but they stay within a certain, a step or two of the base color. Being able to completely change eye color, that's pretty wild.
And it does it slowly like the hazel eye people, but there's blue in it. So depending on how and it's almost like a multiple eye. Like sometimes you'll look at a horse's eye. If you have like an Appaloosa, and it's a light colored Appaloosa, and you're looking at it has dark blue to it. His eyes have that sort of, when you see him in a certain light, they're dark. There's a dark blue there.
Well, eye color is a dosage effect. I mean, you get two blue-eyed, blonde-haired parents, and they'll pop out a brown-eyed child, brown-eyed, brown-haired child. Well, ever since third grade, the textbooks have always said, brown is dominant over blue. That is not true. It's a mix. So during crossing over, when the chromosomes start to, form what's going to be the genome of that child, if the parents have enough of the dosage to have what they call the phenotype, where they look blonde, blue-eyed, but they've got the brown genes, during crossing over, it can happen that all the brown-eye genes line up, and that offspring is going to have brown eyes. So you get genetic counselors that try to convince people, no, your wife didn't cheat on you, or no, this happens, but because ever since elementary school, people have been told the brown eyes are dominant over blue, it's an uphill battle trying to convince them otherwise.
Right, because that's what they know. No, that's right. That's what I know.
Yeah, in sixth grade, brown eye, the little genetic thing is like brown eyes are dominant over, no, they're not. It's a dosage effect gene, which means the more of the alleles you have lined up, the more apt you are to show a specific trait. So it's, but, I would not know that, except I had to take a couple genetics classes in college for my degree. So it's one of those, oh, wow, really? That's one of those revelatory things we learned that was eye-opening in that class.
So somebody is suggesting, well, what about the idea that human beings already have some of this alien DNA? And I'm thinking back to, everybody is 4% Neanderthal. And then there's also Dicinovian, or the Russian one that was not a Homo sapiens. It was sapiens. Are we Homo sapiens? What are we, Eric?
We Homo sapiens sapiens. There was Cro-Magnon, which if you saw a Cro-Magnon standing next to a modern human, you wouldn't be able to tell. You wouldn't be able to physically tell the difference. Neanderthals, I think, based on the phenotypic characteristics, that line is still with us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've actually seen people that the way their arms, their proportions, the way they were built wasn't your standard human, and their appearance wasn't your standard human. Mm-hmm. So, and we have all these non-encode. We don't know what they mean. They're called introns. They're just non-encoding bits of genetic material that we don't know. We call them junk genes because we don't know what they do.
Right.
That could be, if you look on DNA as a computer program, that might have been a logic string that somewhere down the line proved to be, unadvantageous, so they overwrote it, but, they leave that fragment behind.
Right. And then there's also, what a lot of people don't understand is, I'm missing questions from Spreaker. I'll get to you guys in a moment. That we, whether or not you believe in creationism or whatever, the evolutionary biologists have found that we have bits of DNA from various and sundry microorganisms that have existed on Earth for a long, long, long period of time. Is that?
Oh, yes, the mitochondria that power our cells. Yeah. It's believed that was a free-living organism in its own right, that an early single-celled creature engulfed, and of course it couldn't be digested, or it formed a symbiosis type relationship with that single-celled organism by not being digested in the cytoplasm. So now you've got these little battery packs inside your cells called mitochondria that were probably their own type of, they were their own species, their own animal. their own genetic line, and now they're part of ours. But it took, how many millions of years for that symbiosis to work? Chloroplasts in plant cells the same way.
So we are connected to life here on Earth, even at the basis of our genes. That if you want to go around killing every little tiny bug, that you might not want to do that because you probably got some bug DNA or bug essence in you. So.
Well, yeah, we're all made out of the same 4 base oxygen. So, we're all. I mean, there's nothing on Earth that's not related. There's nothing on Earth that's not related because of the DNA that we come from.
Right.
I mean, a tree has the same DNA as you do. The sequences are different, the chains are different, but it's the same chemicals that make it all up.
Right. So be careful with your DNA when you're spraying. Don't be spraying chemicals around. I guess that's the point. Leave it be. Leave it be so we can all be. All right, somebody asks me, how many hybrid children does Elizabeth have and from where? Well, they're from me, so they're from Earth. Ha! The aliens are, so the group of aliens that I work with, I think some people would call them they are a multicultural group, the main group. Now, there's been a secondary group that's come like the day after when I was really working with John Mack. I used to get picked up like 3 times a week because I'd have an experience, and then a day later or 2 days later, within a short frame of time, if they didn't get me the next day, they'd get me the night after. This other group would pick me up, which was more reptilian, and I did not like them. But in the multicultural group, there are short ones, little ones, tall ones. They're not just all one kind. And so I would call them like a Zayton multicultural group. And they did have agreements sometimes with other reptilian groups, and they have had agreements with other groups that are more singular over time. There is so much going on, and it's like, well, who is that and what does that mean? And as soon as you put a definition sometimes on these relationships about who is who, you might be 20 years in the past because, or you might have it kind of right, but you really didn't get the one that you think you have. So anyway, mine is multicultural, lots of different types. There's some mantises, there's some tall whites, there's some short blues, there's some short whites, there's some in-between grays, there's some orange, there's some yellow, and they do have a base on the moon. The ones that I remember most, I've only had 27 regressions. I don't know anybody who has more, so sorry about that, folks. But the ones that I remember most from either just remembering or having conscious recall when I got up in the morning and some regressions were the ones that were most human, and that's 4. And all of these have human fathers. I've been contacted by one. I knew who the father was. The other 2 I was contacted by. The third I saw the father, and he looked basically human. I'm assuming he's human. In terms of other, there were many more experiences that I had that were reproductive related over, late teens through when it stopped in 1990, when I was 31. That's when my relationship changed. So maybe 20, 25. I mean, it's a lot, because if you only go for 3 months and they do it a couple times a year, how many years? Let me see. I'm trying to count. Let's say 17, because I even think things were happening at 16, maybe earlier. And that gets into really woodsy stuff, but 15 years, minimum twice a year, 30. We'll say 30-ish.
Wow.
Yeah. And you wonder, people want to say, oh, it's this wonderful thing, and aren't the aliens nice? Well, if you're a woman who keeps having that many babies taken out of her, and we have this, we do have a genetic propensity to want to be mama bear and protect our children. and to let them know that we want them. And so that actual procedure is very traumatic because of our genetic propensity to want to keep our children with us and want to let them know that we care about them and we would never let anybody harm them or take them away or let them out of our sight. Now, does that mean the aliens really mean to harm us? No, that's not what's going on. But it's still traumatic. And people have been trying to say to me, well, you have such a negative, dark aspect on it. No, I have a realistic view of it, which is humans are programmed to protect their young, as are all mammals on this planet. And when you insert something else into the mix that is doing something counter to how that normally works, that equals a traumatic experience for the human.
Well, yeah, because once you go into the pregnancy, I mean, the HCG is just one aspect. All these other hormones that prepare the female body for being a mother, for bonding with the child, all this stuff is ramping up. And then, you pull the fetus, no baby, it's basically all dressed up with no place to go. That has had to have an effect upon your health over the years. I think that some of your health problems you've talked to me about, I think those might be from the repeated cycle.
Exactly.
Women are not meant to carry children to term or, 9 months. So, there should be more time between pregnancies. You shouldn't be able to get pregnant twice a year. Or, that just... Even if you are a human who has miscarriages twice a year, that will take a toll on the body.
Right. So, people, I don't have any animosity. I've worked through that. I've gone past that, stage of doing this thing. But by the time I was 31, I had to renegotiate my contract with these aliens with some divine intervention, because I was really, really, really tired and my body was falling apart. And when you hear people say, I am an abductee and I have immune system dysfunctions and I have, all of these other things happening, it may be because they are being pushed to the limit. They have made an agreement, a spiritual agreement or whatever, but they are still being pushed to the limit. And there is something so different about this practical utilitarian culture, even of the nice aliens, that it's so, and it is not how things happen with human bodies on Earth. And so it is a stress, and tremendous stress. And to not give that credit or to allow people to work through that stress is to do people a disservice. I would love wonderful things. I could tell you wonderful things that the aliens have said, but other people have said those things. I'm more about the experience, or how are you doing? Because I've been there. I've been tired. I've been to, oh my God, feeling like somebody who can't keep a child, having to work through that. There's a whole psychological thing with feeling like you can't possibly be a good mother because you can't keep your children.
Right.
So,
we had that in my marriage. My wife had fibroids. We had one, she had several miscarriages, but we had one that carried long enough. We thought, holy crap, we'd actually finally started to tell people, hey, we have one on the way, and we lost it. So, that one time took a toll. Right. So if you go through this twice a year, every year for 15 years, even if it's not on a conscious level and you make peace with it, subconsciously that has got to be causing like post-traumatic stress. There's got to be a bill a bill's got to come due somewhere, because people aren't made that way.
Right. Energetically, the bill comes due, and that's why it's good for experiencers to learn Reiki, to do holotropic breath work, to get regressions, to get what they need, and to not just jump to, oh, they're friendly space brothers. because you could be shoving your healing and the healing that you need to do so far under the radar that you're doing yourself in the long term a tremendous disservice. And so if you are not an experiencer and you want to push somebody who is because you're frightened into not looking into it because you're frightened, please don't. Please let them go through the process for this. We are getting to the end. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean, there's no one-size-fits-all answer, and to presume that there is a disservice to the person.
Right.
Is it really already? Holy mackerel, that was a quick one.
Yeah. Eric, thank you for coming on and getting nerdy with me. And everybody else, thank you for listening. And
thank you for having me on.
And we have James up with the media. And I'm checking out. This is Elizabeth Anglin. If you need me, I'm at info@elizabethanglin.com or elizabethanglin.com. I'll see y'all later.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for news beyond the mainstream news? Head to spacedoutradio.com and check out the SOR Spacewire. This is Spaced Out Radio's Eric Markham, news director for the SOR Spacewire. Daily, I will bring you intriguing stories and outlandish reports from what's going on around the world. UFO sightings, paranormal activity, conspiracies, alternative health, and so much more. And if you have news, email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. At spacedoutradio.com, The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to spacedoutradio.com and encounter The Encounter.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners, for only $5 a month you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
The third Monday of every month, Spaced Out Radio is going to bring you a different look at everything paranormal. Welcome to The Reporters. Jim Mallard, Vanessa Hogel, Denise Garcia, and Christina George join me, Dave Scott, for a look at the weird and strange from the other side of the microphone. We'll break down ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, and the people investigating them. The paranormal media has never been heard like this. Come listen to The Reporters.
For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit. And expect a miracle.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
It's time to go live on Spaced Out Weekend.
13, please. Oh, hi, Kevin. Oh, is that the time? Kevin, my friend, don't you find that watch just a little bit loud? Well, I certainly hope our buddy Bumblefoot is playing when we get there. Oh, you stinky big bundle of hair. I said Bumblefoot, not Bigfoot. Oh, it's going to be a long night.
It's time to head to the 13th floor of the old log cabin for Spaced Out Weekend with James Tyson. You can tweet James at James Tyson SOR. You can find him on Instagram, Spaced Out Weekend, as well as on Facebook. On YouTube, our channel is Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can check out our website, spacedoutradio.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And now, perched high in his captain's chair, way above the clouds, here's James Tyson.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all ships at sea. It is I, like Dave said, James Tyson, and I am broadcasting to you from my little log cabin on the 13th floor of the Spaced Out Radio Network here in those paranormal portals of the lower left Canadian coast, or what we like to call Cascadia, here in the Pacific Northwest. And it is my west. It's not your west. It's my west. It's like your left, your right. It's my west. I'm going to take some time here to welcome everyone listening from WQEE 99 Rock the Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead, the Metro Atlanta area, and a whole bunch of other people who are probably sweltering on a night like this down in Atlanta, which is a really cool place to be if you're going to go swelter somewhere. I spent some time down in Atlanta, a lot of fun. I want to thank you who are listening at spacedoutradio.com, on Spreaker, on the United Public Radio Network, Renegade Talk Radio, the High Plains Talk Radio Network, those who find us at Radio Guide FM, on Stitcher, TalkStream Live, and I think that's about it. I think there are people on Twitter too, out there in the Twitterverse, the Twitterverse. If you hadn't known, United Public Radio Network on 107.7 FM in New Orleans actually broadcasts to us out over 160 countries around the world, which is a kind of a cool thing. And again, we are doing our best here at Spaced Out Radio and Spaced Out Weekend to assure that out of those 160 countries, most of them learn English, so they can kind of sing along with us on the show. And again, like Elizabeth said, we like to thank Ron Bumblefoot for the music here on Spaced Out Weekend and on Spaced Out Radio. He is our music man, and I'm still fighting with YouTube to allow us to a couple of years ago, Ron gave us permission to use his song in writing, or all his music in writings. And we get bounced every night by YouTube saying, I'm sorry, there's a copyright claim on that, and then I've got to send a letter in. And I'm saying to them, come on, I don't want to do this every night. But he's a popular guy. So they're watching his music. And when it gurgles out here on Spreaker and blasts around the world on the Spaced Out Radio Network, people are taking aback that we are using Young Ronald's music. Young Ronald doesn't care. He really likes the show. And if you like Ron Bumblethit Doll, please, why don't you go to his website, check it out, see what he's doing around bumblefoot.com, what he does for children who are in less fortunate situations around the planet, who are brilliant musicians, and he actually travels around the globe putting on musical workshops for them. He and a few of his professional friends. Follow him on Twitter. Go to Twitter, say, hey, we listen to you every night on Spaced Out Radio and Spaced Out Weekend, and just let him know that you're listening to his music through us, and that'll be kind of cool because he likes it when he hears from the audience here, right on our shoe, right here. I've got some sad news tonight. Joanna the Medium is no longer going to be broadcasting on Spaced Out Radio and Spaced Out Weekend. She is busy. She's going off to do her thing, as it is, to be more of a life coach than a medium. She will do some readings once in a while. Well, she doesn't privately, but she is up to her psychic yin-yang and readings privately because, I think she's three months booked in advance, and she's really trying to pull back from that. So again, Joanna won't be here, but she is there. You can always go visit her on her YouTube channel, Joanna the Medium. Follow her on Facebook, Joanna Banka, and she'll be around. She'll always know what you're doing. She's like Santa. She knows when you are sleeping. Shh, quiet. Quiet. But tonight, Two Mediums and a Large brings you Skeeter Welhouse. Now, Paisley isn't available tonight because, again, very busy. She's out doing what she does best, and she actually runs a lot of paranormal little psychic fairs. So this weekend's one of those weekends, and she's just burning the candle at both ends, which I'm pretty sure psychics can do anyway. They just walk around like witches. Skeeter Welhouse, who you know from her show The Shift every second Sunday. Skeeter will be stepping in for Joanna, so Skeeter is here every Sunday. And one of the cool things is Skeeter is also there. Skeeter is now given up she's hung up her needles and slung her, I guess it would be in the modern parlance, you had a sewing machine, didn't you? She slung that out the window, and she is doing the psychic full-time. She is still doing a lot of the psychic fairs around southwest Washington. She's got a shingle hung up in a place in Tacoma, Washington. So if you're in that area, look her up. And you can always get a hold of her. Please do. She and I are we're having dueling websites. She's got her website up and modified a bit. It is Blue Moon. Sorry.
Moon Weaver.
Blue Moon Weaver.
.com.
BlueMoonWeaver.com. I got you mixed up. I almost said Blue Forest Moon Weaver.com.
No.
Sorry, Eric. It's and for those wanting to know, Eric will be in at midnight at S4. So that's on Spreaker. That's on our carrier, our primary carrier for Spaced Out Radio. Eric Cooper at S4. Listen to that conversation from midnight on, and if you're up and want a good fright, what's going on with the government and aliens and what's going bump in the night for Eric Cooper and crew. Again, that's S4 at midnight on Spreaker. Skeeter, how are you tonight?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I are fine. We're possibly putting our house up for sale.
Woohoo!
So, well, yeah. It's easy to sell a house here. It's just hard to buy another one in the neighborhood you want to live in.
I'll send some vibes your way.
Okay, good. We bought it for $222 19 years ago, and we're putting it on the market for $3 million.
Ooh.
And all we did to it is
then there's a bidding war.
all we did was build a fence and put a new siding on the house. It was built in It's the dirt under here is what's valuable. It's a developer wants to come through and take the whole block. Right now, my house and another house at the corner are the only ones who didn't sell to the other developer, who is now sold. It's monopoly. And so we'll see. Oh. We'll see what happens. Don't really have to move. But damn, I'd like to.
Well, you've got the lovely option of pushing bodies off when everything shifts. So,
well, the house we're looking at is a little bit higher, just up the street here. So, so yeah, it's. I'll be leaving the people down here to push the bodies off the porch when the water comes up. And you're looking for a move too, so all the best with your move. And remember, 200 feet above sea level.
Yes.
Yep. Or else at 198, you get the big aluminum poles to push things off. Now, Dave Scott and I ran into a glitch last week when we realized that the new setup through Skype, and our Skype is how Spreaker, our primary carrier for Spaced Out Radio and the network here, is kind of relies on Skype to hook us up to our guests, and in my case, to have the guests call in. Well, there's been a number of upgrades to Skype, bless them, and we are having issues for people calling in. So if you do call in and I don't answer the phone, it's because I can't. And what I'll do is I'll call you right back. So if you call in, there's no answer, hang up, and don't call in again. I will call you back. I've got my little scratch pad here. I'll be writing down numbers and flying, trying to call you back. So that is up to you if you'd like to call in. And one of the new things I'd like to add with Skeeter, and I love surprising Skeeter with these things, because we didn't have time to talk about it today, because, well, families and hot summery kind of weather, is that if you've had what you think is a spiritual experience, and I mean that like a ghost in your house spiritual experience. Oh, heck, Skeeter, let's say you thought you saw Mary show up at the foot of your bed. We can ask Skeeter about that. She has connections to those things. Or if you're ever interested, is the White House haunted? Skeeter, have you ever done a remote viewing of the White House?
Yes, I did.
And what did you find?
Abe Lincoln, if I remember correctly.
Oh, cool. Abe Lincoln showed up. Oh, I was talking to somebody on air a couple of months ago where they panicked. They went into the gymnasium of their school, and sitting on the stage was Abe Lincoln.
Oh, how cool.
I don't know.
Yeah, he gets around.
Yeah, I bet. Has he crossed over and come back, or is he still hanging?
He is crossed, and he does come back and check.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, that would be a weird thing. The kids all bailed out of the school. Bunch of little sensitive kids. That was it. That's my first ghost. It's Abe Lincoln, and I don't even live in the United States. He showed up in Canada. You got to watch that guy. He's still trying to push that border. Still trying to do it. Burned down one White House in 1812 or whatever, and they still hold a grudge.
Wow.
Yeah, but he's the only one? He's the only one hanging out?
He was the only one I came across, but from what I understand, there are many more.
The presidents, or just like house staff, or whatever used to be there before the White House was there?
There's staff. There's from
American Indian?
Staff, and there's people who have been on the grounds or associated with the grounds who are still there.
Okay. Nobody that hasn't crossed over?
There's a few that haven't crossed over who are just trying to figure things out. But the majority have crossed
like the rest of your country about what's going on in the White House. Let's go there and try to figure things out.
Well, if they figure it out, I hope they tell me, because I could sure pass it on.
Yeah. Or tell Fox News. Tell them what's going on, because I'm pretty sure they got something twisted there too. But I'm a Canadian. You know, I say A, and I know that guy Tom in Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, by the way, he's dead.
Oh, no. Well, I can still talk to him at least.
I used to, when I was in California, and people would say, hey, I got a friend, Carol Dennis. She lives in Toronto. Do you know her? And I would look at them and go, oh, you know Carol Dennis. You know she's dead, right? And I'd just stare at them. And they wouldn't know what to say. They're looking at me like, hold on, you know her? And she's like on the other side of the country? Yeah, because there's only 7 of us. You bozo, you. So anyway, that was our crazy
Well, you
thing.
know, the problems Canadians have with Americans, some of us citizens have with our own country. I mean, I did a lot of growing up in New Mexico, and anytime I traveled out of the state, people would ask me if I needed a green card or if I spoke Spanish. And you've met me in person, and I do not in any way, shape, or form look Spanish.
No.
Or Mexican. Or Latino, or any of those nationalities. But I would often be asked.
That's being prejudiced. You're just judging people by what they look like, saying this is the country they're from. Oh, yeah. I know your type.
Nope, I look very Irish, or very white, or pale, or translucent, or
translucent. Translucent. I come from a translucent country. If anybody wants to call in and talk to Skeeter, the number to call in is 575-694-6634. Again, that's 575-694-6634. Skeeter, did something just walk up behind you?
No, but
okay, good.
The heater turned on against my wheel.
Against your will. Yeah, it's it's about 80 degrees right now where I am, so I can imagine what it is way down south where you live in Washington State. If you want to call in via Skype, you're listening in Europe, well, good morning, in Western Europe, and good afternoon in Australia, New Zealand. You can call me on Skype at James_Tyson32. Again, that's James_Tyson32. You can call me on James_Tyson32. And, if you're in Europe, I know last week we looked and we had listeners, I think it was still Indonesia, South Africa, up into Spain, Austria, Liechtenstein was a big one for a bit. We'll see. We'll see what happens. And if you've got a ghost, had an experience, or anything like that, just drop in. And you know what? So far, people who are calling in via Skype, it seems to work. Oh, maybe not. I thought we had one via Skype and went to answer it, and off it went. So I'm going to try that again. And we had a call in via Skype. So I can call out. That was really weird. Very, very weird. Mind you, this is the gentleman that called in with Elizabeth, and as soon as she answered him, knocked us all off the air. So hopefully young Christopher can get back here. Again, if let's open this right up. Very, very strange. Have you thought you saw a Bigfoot? Was it really a Bigfoot? Or you just think it is? Is your neighbor's house haunted? Skeeter can go look. Is your house haunted? Is Uncle Fred messing up stuff in the kitchen when you go to sleep? Heck, did you ever look in the Winchester Mansion, Amy? Sorry, Skeeter?
I haven't looked there yet. I've been wanting to, but I just haven't gotten there yet.
See, this is, if I could remote view, do you think I'd be in the Pacific Northwest all winter? I'd be remote viewing Fiji. I know some really cool beaches in Australia that I would be hanging out at, especially when people couldn't see me hanging out of them. So I would be bouncing all over the world.
Yeah.
Christopher, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you? I'm kidding.
This is perfect. The energy.
Yeah?
Very quiet.
Don't be screwing with our energy again, Christopher. You had 4 ghosts show up in your house last time, and at the same time they were at Elizabeth's, and knocked us right off the air. Baby steps, man.
It drained me fighting them.
Well, Skeeter identified the primary there, whose name shall not be spoken because last time we mentioned it, all heck broke loose, is actually part... what was it? He is part... help me out here, Skeeter. It was
Elemental.
Elemental.
And I know who it is, and he says hi.
Oh, he says hi. Great. Of course you know who it is, but I just didn't want to get him mad at us. So, things like that. We have another caller on with Christopher. Christopher, did you have a question?
Yeah, yes, I did. A couple nights after battle, I had my ability since it had merely exploded. Ramped up.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple nights after that, I was exactly at 3 a.m. after a show. Our dogs ever since cried every night since then, and that night I had a dream of seeing this ghost that was lit up like yellow colored, and the house was very dark, and he came from the doorway which was very dark, and in my room in the dream had this bluish white hue.
Okay, in your room had the bluish white hue?
Yes, in the dream itself.
Skeeter, was this a dream, like a manufactured chemical dream that we would create ourselves, or is this a thing, a entity?
It's a little bit of both. Christopher did stretch his abilities that night, I'm being told. He did stretch, kind of caused... they're saying it kind of caused a cramp of sorts, because while you do use your abilities, you've never been forced to push them that far before. Normally when we have gifts, we work at growing them, but it's kind of like exercising. We only go so far as what we convince ourselves that we can.
Yeah, I screamed and cried. Nobody heard me, but the dogs did. That was really weird.
Well, dogs are animals, small children, all are on a different level than we are. So they would respond accordingly. For you, it was kind of part lucid dreaming, part natural dreaming. Mm-hmm. Your brain really did have an experience, and it was trying to make sense of what had happened. Even though you're very open to these things, even though you're very willing to be an experiencer, to be a participant, you've never been pushed any further than you've been willing to go yourself.
It is the first time I really used him.
Yes. So your brain, your logical brain, was trying to make sense of it, while your subconscious, your non-logical part, as some would call it, but the subconscious was, and even spiritual part, we're trying to explain, no, this did happen, this was real, this was an experience, go ahead, breathe it out. But your logical side was trying to, and it created this kind of weird, bizarre lucid dream. My buddy, he's kind of laughing. He says he's attached to everybody on the show now. I'm gonna have to work with him a bit and tell him to leave everyone alone. But
wow.
For you, it's going to have to be a process of acknowledging that you're actually capable of doing this kind of work, and being aware not to use it from an emotional state.
Yes.
To actually bring yourself in and try to approach these things from a logical point of view. Become very Spockish in that, try to come up with logical explanations. And once you've used up all the logical explanations, then you can go to these other explanations.
On me, like a Wilco Grimalda thing, I've elevated from logical now, so it happened again, being taken down online.
Logical. Yep.
It's,
flawlessly
I gotta
logical.
look into this place.
I don't know if you should look into it so much as you need to look more into yourself and start looking at what it was that you were capable of and practice things like shielding and grounding. You're a really great root digger, but you don't have any of your own when it comes to your gifts. So instead of going and poking the bear, why don't you kind of figure out how to manage yourself so that next time something like this happens, it's not like you're fighting an attack. You can actually look at it and go, listen, I see and know who you are. I get it. I understand it. I respect it.
Yes.
For me, it's kind of like I've looked at this gentleman and I'm like, you know what? You're cool. I like you. You can hang out. There's others in the house. You guys can share a beer. Just leave me and the kids alone and we'll be cool.
Last time I really used my gifts was before 40 years ago when I was in this foster home I was really happy at. That was the last time I ever used them like this.
Well, you haven't had the need to protect yourself like that before, until now. And I have to admit, this is a very interesting energy because he's not human.
He looked like
elemental.
Elemental, yeah. How old is he?
Oh, hundreds of years.
Is he specific to our continent, North America?
No.
This guy looked interesting to me. I would like to work with him sometime. Wonder if he'd let me talk to him.
If I were you, I'd practice grounding and shielding before you open the door to him. And just, if you do invite him back, Christopher, lay down some rules. Let him know that it's got to be a respectful relationship. That when you've had enough, you've had enough. He's got to back off. He's got to let the animals be. He's got to respect your neighbors. He's got to respect your friends. You've got to be willing to hold those rules.
Okay. Is he a helpful spirit if he likes you?
If you've ever worked with Loki energy or Coyote energy, which is usually a type of mischievous energy that brings truth to light, but you kind of got to go through a little hell to get there.
Mm-hmm. That's what it seems like for me in life.
Yeah. This is a really good guy to work with. But if you're not ready for that...
Yeah.
But he's definitely a very interesting energy. I've been having a lot of fun working with him, with other people who have contacted me about him, and I know some people like, oh, send him away, but me, I hope he kind of sticks around a little. I'm enjoying him, but I work with those kind of energies.
Wow, and you know what? And I'm going to try something now too. If it don't mess up my energy field. When I was 25, that's how my family find me, is I put my energy out there. I'm not going to do research reading or root digging anymore. I'm going to let them come to me.
Yeah.
No, that's a good plan.
What?
That was a good plan.
Because Wakenstein was mentioned in our listeners a few weeks ago, so it seems like that my energy's out there at that place. I'm going to let them come to me.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's good.
Ground yourself. Yourself. Be careful.
I will.
Don't go just charging head into these things. Skeeter and I are still dealing with a guy who's he's basically a Roman candle, and everything is showing up in his house.
If I have a nightmare, I always ask you and Skeeter to help me calm down.
But just please remember, before you go opening the door to this guy, make sure that you've got your grounding skills down and your shielding. And be ready to hold your rules.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you know the stories of Coyote, but Coyote, anyone who plays with that kind of mischievous or trickster type energy, they tend to get caught in their own webs.
Oh my God.
So I'm really advising you, make sure before you open the door to this guy that you really know that you want to get into it, because this isn't a hi, how are you? Can you tell me about yourself? Can you tell me about the world type of ghost? I mean, if the ghost of Plato comes through, sit down, offer him some tea, pull out some books, talk about the world. But this particular energy, this is someone that if you were playing poker, you'd have your wall to the back and your hand on the gun.
Oh, it seems like he don't play.
No.
Yeah,
so am I finally getting the message across as to the kind of energy this is?
Yes, I probably should read up on this type of energy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, read up on that type of energy and deal with your own. Ground. Make sure you know when you're grounded. Because
and make sure you're shielding as well, because you're going to have to be able to protect yourself and repel.
Because that's one of the big problems people have when people say, oh, you just have to ground yourself, you do this and you do that. And you go, okay, I've done it. But you have to learn how you know you're grounded or how you know you're shielded. Because if you don't know the difference between grounding and not grounding, you'll never know. You're just guessing. I did the voodoo, or I wiggled my hands a certain way and curled my hair left-handed, and so that means I'm grounded. Well, no, it doesn't. It just means you went through a process that maybe worked for one person, but yeah, it's kind of weird. But and the coyote energy will, the coyotes are the guys who laugh at you when you fall down the stairs. That's coyote energy.
Or like the kids who laughed at me or clapped when I fell and dropped my lunch tray in the lunchroom.
Yeah.
Well, the coyote energy is the guy who trips you and then helps you back up and says, did you see what happened?
Oh, okay. Oh, just somebody let me be aware.
Yes, but they also like it when you foul up.
Yeah.
Wow. This sounds like this guy is a lot of work to get to know.
Yeah, you should start at the bottom. Start at something a little softer. Stay away from the elementals right off the bat. But that's your path, right?
If you get Plato coming through, sit him down, have some tea, talk it through. But this particular gentleman, like I said, playing poker, back to the wall, hand on the gun.
I probably should stick with my roots for right now and talk to them and then move up.
Yep. Yeah.
Humans, right?
Humans
are good. They're a good start.
Yeah, and they're old souls anyway. I'll probably learn a lot from them.
Definitely.
Christopher,
yes, sir.
Have you talked about, ever asked who your spirit guides are?
One I know.
Yeah.
The name.
Who's that?
My grandmother.
Okay.
But
his grandmother watches over him.
Okay.
And she's finally helping me about the thing about, I'm curious, because I actually made a decision a couple weeks ago. I would like to eventually move to Europe. And I said it out loud, finally.
Okay.
And she's been, and ever since then, ever since this fight, both events, it's been crazy here.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
There are some nice places in Europe that are still available.
Liechtenstein or Germany or Monaco for me.
Monaco, yeah. It should come with a lottery win. My friends used to teach in Monaco, and it's a tad pricey.
Yeah, I'm only dealing with people that are within places that are within my roots. Those three places, Liechtenstein or Germany or Monaco or even Italy.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play it safe.
Yeah, well, just keep playing it safe. Don't make me come over there.
I thank you guys for being there for me. This is not, I want to remind everybody on the show, this is not unicorns and rainbows. This is not a game.
No, not in any way, shape, or form.
Correct. And I've been shut down for 40 years a lot. And now it's all coming back like it was when I was in that home.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's due to abusive foster home that made me shut down.
Yep. I would advise you, though, out of any country to stay away from right now, is Montenegro. Because there's
I know.
Yeah, they probably don't like Americans at this point. I don't know why.
Can I make a secret I had a weird feeling about today? I don't know why I listened to Merkel speak, and I had patriotic feelings to her, and it made me feel weird because I'm an American, not German.
Well, maybe you are German, you little Dickens, you. Now, move along. We have another caller waiting. Fishman.
All right.
Good night, Christopher.
Good night. I'll see you on Facebook later, all of you.
All righty. Take care, Chris. Chris, that's Christopher, the Fishman, Wayne Fisher. He is a avid listener of Spaced Out Radio and Spaced Out Weekend and Eric Cooper's S4, which is on at midnight after us. So stick around on Spreaker. Make sure you pick up, hook into S4 on Spreaker and listen to Eric Cooper of Forest Moon Paranormal and see what he's chatting about tonight. One of the other callers we have on is a lovely lady who I can pick up with one hand. She was in my card reading course. It's and she's adorable, I gotta tell you. So without further ado, we'll introduce everyone to our little friend. I shouldn't say little friend because there are people smaller than you in probably Ireland living in a field somewhere. Little elves and fairies. Valicia, how are you tonight?
I'm okay. Hi, how are you, James?
Good. I am well. I haven't seen you for a long time.
I know. And what? I just opened an ice cream, so.
Oh. Well, do you want me to call you back?
No.
It's going to melt all over you? Good Lord, woman.
No. It was
I'm asking over to her house.
Caller, is it me? Oh, damn. I was like, I just opened this ice cream. Hi, Skeeter.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Enjoying the night.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Well, actually, I'm not that good. It's not so good day. That's why I'm treating myself with ice cream.
Aww.
Oh, good. Ice cream fixes everything.
I hope so. I hope so.
Why is it not a good day, young lady? Are you still waiting for me to propose? Because I've been waiting for you to propose. So this is really... Oh, my gosh.
With ice cream?
Yeah. Will you provide me with ice cream for the rest of my life?
Right.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I think things been crazy. This is already half of the 2017. Entering 2017, I feel like, oh, it's so good. Everything's going great. All of those things. And then things up and down, and I feel stuck, basically. So I don't know what Skeeter can see. I can't tap into my intuitions. I'm literally stuck, or I feel stuck. Work and everything. I don't even know what I want to ask, to be honest.
And Valicia is actually intuitive, too. And if she's obviously got a block somewhere.
No, there's definitely a block. I'm listening to someone chiming in, and I'm trying to figure out what they're saying. The first thing they want to bring up is the fact that it is 2017, which is the 17 is an 8, 8 and 2 is 10, 10, 1 and 0 is 1. 1 is coming from source, divinity, the beginning. What happened is that you started wanting as if it were 2016, but fresh. And I'm trying to get this right. I apologize if this sounds kind of rude. Because it is going to sound rude, and I really don't want it to. It's kind of like you started out going, yay, everything's great, and universe said, nope, not going to have it, and smacked you down. And it's because you kind of missed some lessons from last year.
Mm-hmm. What that lesson would be?
That's what I'm asking. As if I can even tell you, or if it's something that you have to learn on your own.
Okay.
They're telling me to focus. Sorry. One of the things is that you still question your intuition, and it's actually a really strong intuition. I mean, you're beyond just knowing who's calling and who's knocking on the door. You actually got a little bit of futuristic premonition ability. Like, not to buy the lottery ticket because there's not going to be a win. Or to turn right instead of left, and you avoid things. Or you find something, or whatever it is. You are actually really good at listening, but you kind of leveled out, and you really haven't opened yourself to go beyond that, and you question it still. It's really weird. I'm asking, why is this such a big deal? What did you miss? Because I'm looking at kind of like your life. I'm going through it, and it's kind of like you've done really well, and you've been opening up more and stretching yourself a little bit more. You've been testing yourself here and there.
Even Skeeter is speechless.
No, I'm trying to. It's not that I'm speechless. I'm trying to understand the image they're giving me.
Okay.
Because what they're showing me is that there's 3 times that you missed an opportunity for job changes or promotions.
Mm.
And it's because you stepped down because you doubted yourself and your abilities as far as the job goes.
3 times in a year period, or?
Within the past 6 months.
Oh, okay.
And they're saying it's kind of like you got... It's kind of like, oh, well, I know how this is supposed to go, because you are so good with your intuition. And you mistook a emotional message for an intuitive message. Does that make sense?
Not really.
Okay, like I said, I'm not speechless. I'm just trying to find a good way to express it. I'm going to use you as an example, James, okay?
Okay.
I'll be nice, I promise. So James is really intuitive naturally. I've been around him long enough to know that he's very intuitive, but he's also very emotional, which I love about him.
I am not. Sorry. I am not.
And it's okay, James.
Okay,
it's
fine.
cute.
Okay, fine.
I'll get you some ice cream, I promise.
Okay, fine.
I'll buy you the second ice cream, I promise.
Well, hello. Sorry, carry on.
So, James listens to his intuition the majority of the time. But now and again, he'll come across a situation that pulls more on the emotional strings.
Yeah.
Which distracts from the intuitive side. So instead of listening to his intuition, which is telling him, step away, don't go there, he follows his emotional side and his empathic side and goes there.
And what did my mother call that side of me on Mother's Day? She said I was thinking with my...
With your heart.
No, she was saying I was thinking with my little head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to be nice.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to not repeat what I was just told to say.
Good.
So basically what's happened is that you're allowing your empathic side to override your intuitive side. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And that's what's holding you up. That's what's getting in the way, is that you're allowing that intuitive side to take second seat to your empathic side. And what's hard about being empathic, especially at the level you are, is that if you're in a bad place and someone else is in a bad place, it amplifies where you are, and you want to help them even more because there's a part of you that's convinced that if you can help them, then you're going to help yourself. And there's someone around you that you are empathically being drawn to is very, very needy. They really rely on you to a fault. It's not obvious to you. If it is, it's not enough.
Is it she or a he?
Is it a he or a she? She. It's a she.
Okay.
And they're a little narcissistic. They need other people to baby them and build them and tell them they're great. And constantly be working on their self-esteem at an expense to the helper's expense. Does that make sense?
I think so. That's why I asked, is it she or a he? Because I might get some ideas of who is the person.
Is it someone at work or personal life? Both.
Mm-hmm.
Is it someone that she's around all the time or some of the time? Some of the time.
Oh.
Is this person a close friend or an acquaintance? In between. So they're not a close friend. They're not just an acquaintance. They're someone who's in your circle, but they're not a main fixture. Sad sob stories or just anecdotals, which means that if you ask them how they are, they tend to go, fine, I'm okay, how are you? Okay. And because you're empathic, you tend to go, oh, I'm fine, but no, really, how are you? That kind of thing. I'm hoping this is helping. But the main thing that they want me to pull me back to is the fact that you really need to rein in your empathic side and start fact-checking it again. Is this a good one to follow? Is this an emotional vampire? Is this someone who actually needs my attention? Is this someone who's just wanting attention? And check in with your intuition. Is this something that I should be investing in? Yes or no?
Right.
Because when you put yourself in the back seat so that you can take care of others, you're taking energy away from the projects that really need your attention. And right now, you're really supposed to be working on yourself. I know that may sound a little selfish, but you really are supposed to be working on yourself right now, not others. Part of that is that even though you didn't have what everyone would call a tragic childhood, you didn't have everything that you needed. So your cup didn't get filled all the way. You do have stuff in your cup, but it didn't get filled all the way. And you didn't get specific direction. So finding your direction, finding things that work for you with you, were all left to you. So by investing in others when you should be investing in yourself gets a little hard. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So pull back on the empathy, focus more on intuition, and yes, it's important to take care of others. Karma is a really good thing when you're putting it out there, but only put it out there if you have it. There's a really good story that they're telling me right now to share with you, and it's there was a man with enough bricks to build his own home. And his neighbors came and said, listen, I need 5 bricks for my home, or I need this many bricks for my home. And he loved his neighbors, and he loved his family, and everyone who came to him for bricks. And he gave away his bricks to these people as he was trying to build his own home. And just as he got to the point where he was ready to start, making the walls higher and adding in windows, he realized he had no more bricks. So it's good to take care of others, but if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to end up without any bricks for your own home. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think on our course we talked about that too with Paisley, because we were both taking the card reading course. And one of the things is assuring that our energy itself was not just passed out without being recharged, and to block the other people. And that's the problem with somebody who has got that light on the top of their head, and other people want to come and drain you. And if you don't have anything for yourself, you can't help anyone. And this is a really weird parallel, but as a policeman, as a peace officer, somebody shows up at a school with a gun and is about to shoot a little kid. Do you jump in front of the bullet and take the bullet for the little kid? No, you don't. Because that doesn't stop the shooter from continuing to shoot all the children. You need to be there for everyone else. So you deal with the important thing, and everyone else has their own energy and their own path. And you have to understand that you're very important to the greater good, not just the individual good. And in your case, you will have an opportunity to help people in the greater good. And you'll have to be able to do that basically running on a lot of energy, not on what you have right now, which is very, very, very low. We're taking our 7-minute break, and we're going to come back with more from Skeeter Welhouse right after this. Okay, we're on a break. Oh, and I'm going to tell everybody just to calm down and relax
Hi
while
there,
we're on
this is
trip.
Dave Scott.
Be seeing you in a
and
minute.
I would like to
In a
invite
minute.
you to
Thank
listen
you.
Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on 2 mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. 2 mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners, for only $5 a month you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
From coast to coast to coast, Blacklight Uncharted is taking on the paranormal across Canada. From ghostly hauntings to the UFOs flying above in conjunction with MUFON Canada, we're closely investigating what's going on in the northern skies and checking out the apparitions that walk among us. Check out our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com. We want to know your thoughts, we want to hear your experiences, and we want you to share your stories. The answers are out there, and we intend to find them.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories. From alien encounters to the latest conspiracies, you won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter Online, only at spacedoutradio.com.
For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Have you had an experience you can't explain? Had a run-in with ghosts, maybe Bigfoot, or seen lights in the sky? Hi, I'm Mike Schmidt from the SOR Sightlines. I'm here to investigate your sighting. Head to spacedoutradio.com and fill out a report on the Sightlines. All your information is 100% confidential, and I will help you figure out what you've been seeing. File your report, and let's find out the answers together.
The third Monday of every month, Spaced Out Radio is going to bring you a different look at everything paranormal. Welcome to The Reporters. Jim Mallard, Vanessa Hogel, Denise Garcia, and Christina George join me, Dave Scott, for a look at the weird and strange from the other side of the microphone. We'll break down ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, and the people investigating them. The paranormal media has never been heard like this. Come listen to The Reporters.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night, live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small. You're bound to find what you're looking for, so join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Rivulet Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings, no matter where you are. It's time for you to make time for you.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Tonight's edition of Spaced Out Weekend is brought to you by SpacedOutRadio.com, where you can now sign up to become a Space Traveler member. Now, for the final time tonight, here's Spaced Out Weekend's James Tyson.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Spaced Out Weekend. We have Skeeter Welhouse on two mediums, or soon to be just one medium and a large. And we, yeah, you're just all over the place, and it's kind of good. It is very, very good. Valicia, you have a earful so far about grounding and focusing. Is there anything else you'd like to talk to Skeeter about?
Really work on finding that balance between being empathic and wanting to help people and following your intuitive side, because it's going to guide you more and more so, because the things that you should be picking up on are in conversation. Spirit's not going to be giving you a memo saying, hey, there's a job opportunity coming up, go there. It's going to be sitting at a table, and then all of a sudden your intuition's going to go, hey, listen in. And you're going to hear about such and such opportunity coming up, and you're going to be like, that's perfect for me. And that's when you should act on it by following up on it. Okay. It's really honing in and listening. That's something that even I'm having to learn right now, is really honing in and listening, because Spirit isn't a neon sign. I tell people when they're first starting to ask for the neon sign. because you're just learning that, once you start learning the neon sign, you can start learning the basics, billboard, and working your way into really honing in on your intuitiveness. And you're at a point where you should be honing your intuition and listening to those subtleties. But if you're too busy doing other things and taking care of other people and doing other things, you're not going to have the concentration and the ability to do that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I hope that helps.
Oh, definitely. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, hon. Good luck, and just let us know if you need help with that grounding and really listening to the intuition, because it really is. It's that subtle little, I gotta pay attention right now moment.
Right.
Perfect.
I guess sometimes it's just confusing between intuitions or your fear. So
fear is a really big distractor when it comes to intuition. I just had a situation come up recently, and I let fear completely take over. It threw me completely for a loop. Thank God I had James, because he was a voice of reason and support, and I was able to come back down, and I was able to talk to my intuition and figure out what to do. And, sometimes it's really getting past that fear factor, because it really can, because once you're in a fear place, all of a sudden you go into full empathic mode where you're feeding off of others' emotions, throwing your own emotions out there, and your intuition gets lost in the mumble.
Right.
So just, it's not bad to be afraid, because, that's your body saying, hey, there's something new coming up. But you never know what's going to happen. I've done things that I've been absolutely terrified to do, and absolutely, positively do not regret any of it that I actually did do once I got past the other side of fear.
Right.
And you're going to love it too. You just got to get there.
Right. Last one. Who's the name of my spirit guide? One or more?
I'm asking, and it's a he.
Oh.
He says you don't say that of family.
What? Pardon?
What was that, Skeeter?
Family?
He's family. He's related to you.
Oh, okay.
He's the one who's stepping forward and helping me most right now. I want to say it's a grandfather energy.
Oh.
And he's saying go further back, like great-grandfather.
Oh, then I don't.
He says, don't worry about not knowing me. The important thing is that I know you. And this is something, what you have actually runs in the family. On that side of the family. I want to say it's dad's side, he said. Dad's side.
Really?
So be aware of that. Your dad's very logical, so he doesn't necessarily talk about it. Right. But he's there for you. He says there is a spirit animal that you should be paying attention to, and I almost think you kind of already do.
Dragonfly?
No, elephant.
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 Never pay attention to elephant.
Well, maybe you should.
Because they are natural in our environment here. We have a lot of them in Western Canada more than Eastern Canada, but the elephant is primarily raised for food here.
Yes.
Elephant.
I asked him 3 times, are you sure elephant? And he said yes, elephant. These are very empathic animals. They're also very intuitive animals. So look up elephant and its attributes. He says dragonfly is a good one. That's a very good animal to be aware of, but dragonfly tends to lead us up into the dreamland where we tend to fantasize and think about what we want. And you quite haven't gotten to the level of manifesting. So to help bring you back down to the ground, he's really kind of encouraging you to look at elephant.
Okay.
These are very good, solid, grounded guides, which is what you kind of need. And they have that balance between empathy and intuition.
This is interesting.
Yeah, isn't it?
Elephant. Okay. Thanks. Thank you, guys. I'm going to let other caller.
All the other caller in? Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Okay, you too.
Good night.
Take care. Bye. Go get yourself an elephant. Thanks, Skeeter. If anybody else wants to call in at 575-694-6634. And I really wish I had that microphone I had last weekend out of a Dave's that had my voice going really low. So now, if you guys ever meet Dave in real life, you'll realize he talks like this. And he kind of has a bit of a slur, but that microphone makes him sound really low. And, hi, how are you? That's why my voice sounded so low on his mic. So give us a shout here at James_Tyson32. I want to hear from those people in South Africa that listen to us. Somebody Skype me from South Africa because that's very, very cool. 575-694-6634 in North America, or for very wealthy people who live in Australia that who call up and it still looks like they're in Ohio because of the country code. Elizabeth, how the dickens are you?
Yeah, hold on. 575-694-6634. Yep. Sorry.
Oh, you phoned in on Pierre Darrell's line, did you?
Hi, Elizabeth.
I sure do.
Go ahead, caller.
All right. Skeeter.
Yes.
Skeeter Bell.
Woohoo, I like that.
Yeah, it's like Tinkerbell, but your name.
And Elizabeth has been drinking.
I have been eating peanut butter cups, which people are highly allergic to. All right, so, Skeeter, what do I need to know that you can tell me on air?
Oh, it's
on air.
I'm just gonna see it as I'm being told, and it's, oh, honey, take a breath, take a deep breath, let your shoulders drop, and know that we love you, and we're so sorry, and we forgive you for everything, and know that you're loved, and we're still watching over you.
Who did I kill?
I don't know. They're saying you didn't kill anyone, but so much has happened to you that they're just reaching through to say they're sorry and they love you and they wish they could have protected you more. They wish they had understood better what was going on.
Okay. That sounds like my mom.
Not mom.
Hmm.
This one, are you human? Yes or no? Human? No. Human? Yes. Human? No. Are you human? No. Sorry, I had to ask the question correctly. I feel like I'm on Jeopardy. They're not human.
Okay.
I don't know what they're talking about. Something about a star, and it's okay to look. I guess. Sorry, I'm asking them to explain it better so I don't goof it up, because obviously I'm goofing it up. It's been really weird since I knocked my head because the messages are coming in so... I'm not even using my cards anymore most of the time. You're not going... You're still going to the stars, but you're not going as often as you were.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to advocate for another experiencer associated with the show, and I'm not going to go there with them, and I told them I wouldn't. But they say, that's enough, what I just said. It's okay, because you understand it.
Mm-hmm, I do.
And please know that that person and you are very experienced, and that experience is important to this show for others.
Okay.
And without that balance, individual whose name I will not bring up, sorry. They will not get as far as they want to.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Was this a person who contacted me last night out of the blue?
Did this person contact her last night out of the no?
Okay. That's not the experiencer?
It is.
Okay. But the other person is not?
No.
Okay. Great. The other person is who I think it is?
Yes.
Okay. One question about that person. Do I send the letter?
Does she send the letter? Yes. Yes.
As is?
As is. Yes.
Tonight?
Soon. Yes.
Yeah. Go right now. It's
last week.
Exactly.
It's after midnight. Go do it now.
Go do it now. Tomorrow. No, not now. Okay. All right. So I was wondering that, and so I thank you very much for that information. And if there's nothing else, I'm good, unless they want to tell me anything else.
They love you.
Am I getting patted on the head?
Yes. Like more like a rub on the back,
Okay.
something a little bit more comforting.
Okay, good.
But I guess you got the message you needed, and you understand, thank God.
I did, and I do, and I thank them, so thank you.
I apologize to the people in the audience, but sometimes I get messages that I have to be selective on and hope that the individual receiving the message, especially on a public forum, understands. So if there's any confusion, I apologize, but the important part that you should all be applauding is the fact that Elizabeth understood it, and that's what's important.
Yes, clap for Skeeter. She did a darn good job.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! Don't drink and drive.
Right.
Elizabeth, say hi to your cats for me.
Okay.
Okay.
I will. I'll see you.
And your puppy.
Most definitely.
Okay. Take care, Elizabeth. Anything else?
Yeah.
Oh, anything else?
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I going to make enough money this month?
No.
Oh, dear.
They said we'll work on it.
We'll work on it. Okay. Thank you.
Get Christopher to manifest.
Christopher, manifest me a pile of cash, honey.
Not a pile of cash.
They're asking that you bury a penny in front of the door to your business. And then treat it like a seed, and it should grow.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
That'll be cool.
So.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, Elizabeth.
You're welcome.
You have a good night.
All right. See you guys later.
You betcha.
Should I hang up?
You certainly may.
Okay.
Oh, you can hang out. It's okay.
No, I'm going to listen to you.
Excellent.
Okay.
Just want to remind everybody, S4 with Eric Cooper and Corey at midnight on Spreaker. Go over to S4. They're talking about Middle Earth. And you don't want to miss that one if you are night owls and want to stay up past midnight Pacific, or literally, it's only 25 minutes, maybe half an hour from now-ish, maybe 35 minutes. You're up anyway. What the heck? S4 on Spreaker with Eric Cooper and Corey. They're talking Middle Earth, and while they're doing that, somebody's breaking into your home. So just keep an eye out. No, I'm kidding. Who is our 780 phone number?
Craig from Canada.
Hey, Craig, I have been to Canada. Hi, good to see you.
You are from Canada.
I still am from Canada. How you doing, Craig?
I'm good.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, but
aren't you coming to Canada, Skeeter?
I will be coming up to Canada for the Caribou Convention.
Thingy. Yeah, the Spaced Out Radio. Oh, what is that called? It's a Paracon that we're putting on up on September 29th, Friday to Sunday, September 29th, October 1st. And it'll be at a lovely little Spruce Hills resort and spa. So if anybody's in the area, north central Washington and British Columbia, come on up. Got a lot of guests showing up there. We've got some of the guests you've heard on here. We've been talking to some lovely people who will tell us about their experiences with being taken by aliens. So we've got a lovely lineup and some special guests coming in. And again, that is September 29th to October 1st up in 108 Mile House. I have no idea. Somebody asked, is that 100 miles from Vancouver? Beats the heck out of me. I went up there last weekend and gosh darn it, it's all in kilometers. So I have no idea how many miles that would be. I don't know. What is that? 160 kilometers is 100. Good Lord, I don't know. But yeah, we're Skeeter's coming up. We've got I think the week before that, we're going to be down, if anybody wants to, we're going to be down at the Forest Moon Paranormal Paracon in Concrete, Washington, one of the most haunted places I have ever been in. Wonderful place. And that way Skeeter doesn't have to drive so far. So it would be great. Come see Eric Cooper and the guys down from Forest Moon Paranormal and Concrete and have a great time down there. Craig, what do you got? You got a question or just opening it wide up?
Yeah, I got a question. I've been writing some stuff down, and I'm not too sure, like, if I need to, like, push for more material or just kind of let it come to me. But, like, in the last week or so, I guess my vibration maybe dropped or something. I don't know any of this stuff. So, I just wonder, how do I, like, should I push to get back into that mental space or what?
What they're telling me is that as you were writing, you kind of went off on a tangent of sorts. And if you go back in the writing, you'll see where they dropped off and you picked up. And if you pick up where they dropped off, it'll come back. They said it's probably back a few pages. But you'll actually see where it is that you were writing through them, and then it became your story.
Awesome.
And they said they're having a lot of fun working with you because your imagination is really entertaining. Don't forget to... a lot of this stuff that you're writing is being confirmed through lucid dreaming. Is that correct?
No, I don't really remember too many lucid dreams. Actually, I just had one recently, but I couldn't remember it after because I was at home. Like I've had some changes in my lifestyle. Well, I have changes every week, every day, pretty much. But I wasn't able to write down what I dreamed, and it seemed important, and I can't remember it now. But most of it, no, it's just from my experience. Like I had like a very weird experience one day, and then that kind of just brought everything to forefront, but I didn't really quantify.
Yeah. They're telling me trust it. They get it. Yes, I'll focus. Trust those little moments, because those are going to tell you if you're on track or not. If you know you've been lucid dreaming, take a little time to meditate after you wake up and write down the first few things that come to you. Even if they don't make sense, just write them down, either on a sticky note or a postcard or something that you can just hold till later, and then once it clicks, you'll be able to go back to it and see how it fits into what you're writing. Okay. I don't know if this is a question of yours or not, but they're telling me that the answer is yes, you are going to be experiencing more. What you saw is real. His name, they're telling me you can call him Fred. I don't know why. It doesn't feel like it's his name. He's saying it's not his name. But they're telling you to go ahead and make a relationship with this. It's not a hallucination. I hope that all makes sense.
Yeah, and if not, I'm sure it will. Usually when I talk to people as gifted as you, it takes a little time to sink in.
That's okay. Sometimes I even sit here going, what are you guys telling me? I didn't realize Spirit got drunk and then Spirit talked. Spirit drunk spoke, or whatever it is.
And my major experience there, was that energy from me or was it from something else?
Something else.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. I'm asking if he's human. No.
Because somebody else actually felt that energy that I was putting out that day. And it involves something else that's much bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what I'm writing, I don't know who it'll pertain to, but like it's I don't think it'll pertain to too many people, but it does. But like there's, the fog of your life, like ego involved, so I don't think everybody will understand it. Yeah.
It's
So is that all real? Like all those connections I made just recently, like in the last 2 weeks?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Some of them were part of... Oh, cool. I can go that route. Sometimes when we spirit walk, we connect with things that we can connect with, that our mind creates to help us make sense of the situation. And there's other things that are not of us. And you met a lot of things that were of you and a lot of things that were not of you in order to help make this writing process possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't know if it's really me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just my... That what I was doing, it's so foreign to me, it's ridiculous. I've seen, like, I talked to somebody who would actually... So.
It's actually kind of like a form of channeling, but it's coming through your hand and you're writing, and it's like trying to keep up with the voices in your head and the images and trying to get them out on paper as quickly as possible. It's a little hard to do sometimes. You can ask them to slow down, remind them that you are of flesh, human flesh. That was really weird. I just said you're of human flesh, and they said not really.
No, he's Albertan.
So I'm not sure. I'm asking if they'd be willing to expand on that, because it was kind of like it came out of my mouth and then my brain went, wait, just a moment, what was that? You understand it because it's in the stories you're writing.
Yeah.
And there are others like you. There's actually a lot of people like you. They're telling me it's going to be kind of like what Elizabeth and other experiencers who are brave enough to put their experience out there. You may get a lot of ridicule, but for that 1 in 100 or 1 in 50 or 1 in 20, it's going to make a lot of difference.
Yeah, and should I include my own experience?
Yes.
Because I've been cutting that out. Okay.
No. Keep it in, but don't...
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Where they're asking you to be careful, it's don't go into imagination or fantasy. Stick with what you know for sure. It may only be bits and pieces, but stick with it.
Yeah, stick to the... Okay, I get that. Yep.
It's when you get into elaboration.
And then when I pass it on, if I can explain myself alongside of it, right? There's something maybe?
Yeah. Well, what will happen is that as you pass it on, individuals will come to you and go, we'll ask for more. And then you can elaborate a little bit more based on,
I can break down their situation, yeah.
Yeah. Make it relatable to that individual.
Yeah, so we'll see through that. Yeah, exactly. Awesome.
Because if you put too much in, it's not going to be relatable for everybody, because it won't be vague enough for them to connect to it.
Okay, and should I include like an ego shock, or like, you know what I mean? I don't know if you know what I mean, but maybe you could ask.
They do. They understand, and they're saying be very careful with that. It's a good thing, but don't make it a bang. Make it more like a poop.
Okay. And they'll come back quicker, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Very cool. Craig, awesome. you got any? Are you Métis at all?
I don't know. As far as I know, I'm German, French, and Irish.
Okay.
But I have a lot of other DNA involved for sure.
Yeah. Lizard.
No.
No.
I don't think I'm a lizard. No.
No. Have you ever finished the Rochford burger at Rochford Bridge? Because that would turn you into an alien if you ever finish that one. It's one of those ones. Can you finish it? It's a giant honking thing. Hey, what was that other little hotel down the highway that had that giant burger that's closed now? I can't remember what it's called. Oh, it was a horrid, just a monster. It was a little hotel, and it had a burger there that was basically meatloaf in the bun. I'm pretty sure it's still on my colon, but that was about 7 or 8 years ago. But nasty food in that part of the country. That'll keep you alien. Skeeter, when they say that Craig, he isn't completely of human, can they elaborate on that for him? Actually, for me?
For you, yeah. I don't care.
Oh, drat. Okay, if you don't care, then I won't. I won't
try to stay away from that, because sometimes it affects my ego. Right?
Yeah, and they're saying no.
It doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah, I won't worry about it then. I just like asking questions on behalf of people because I'm freaking curious.
Well, he's actually very spot on, because his ego, because of things that he's experienced, the things that he's got an amazingly high IQ and a great imagination, even though you haven't fully utilized it. And because there are some self-esteem issues, they'd prefer to keep it on the down low so that he's more focused on the project rather than what he's going to get out of the project. Okay. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, I'm placing ego into what I'm writing. right? I'm placing myself, like expectation, right? Expectation is ego, which...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would he be doing like, what's it called? People of his ilk do this all the time. It's automatic writing?
Yeah. It's
That's
almost
pretty cool.
automatic writing. It's a little bit of channeling, a little bit of automatic writing. It's a little bit of memory. It's a little bit of just knowing. It's kind of like it's something he just naturally knows. Am I off on that, Greg?
No, it kind of came with me. No, for sure. And then after my experience there with all that love or whatever, it everything kind of just clicked at once, and like I just saw everything for what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you've got. Do you have kids?
Yeah, I got 2 little munchkins.
Are they kind of that way inclined too, like you?
Oh yeah, you bet.
Okay.
Yeah. My boy asked me a weird question last week, and it was dozy off.
Oh yeah, Daddy, why are little green men walking through the backyard? He's a very bright guy, Skeeter, but he cuts his own hair, and oh well.
That's okay.
It's okay. It's good. Oh, Craig, a No Jack burger. That's what it was. No Jack.
Oh, No Jack. Yeah, I think they're closed now.
Yeah, probably the government shut them down for feeding us whatever it was in those friggin' burgers. That, yeah, it's a pretty good place, though. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice hotel, right? Yeah.
Really nice hotel.
Maybe in a snowstorm.
Yeah,
when you're all alone.
And you're trapped in the car. I'd walked to Carrot Creek, I think. Alrighty, man. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you very much, guys.
You're welcome. Thanks.
You're welcome.
You too. And if you guys don't remember, Greg had an interesting event with an owl, and he called in to ask questions about the owl, and it was like, oh no, you saw a spaceship too that time, didn't you? And he just, yeah. So that's where it was like, yeah, okay, you guys are real, because I did see one, and I wasn't going to talk to you about it. Excellent guy. Skeeter, how are you feeling? Did you have were you out at a farmer's market or anything today doing your stuff?
No, I actually took the weekend off to heal and meditate and figure life out, as it's thrown me a curveball and I'm trying to figure out why. But it's okay. It's working out.
We know why. Or haven't I told you? Never mind. It's you just have to move closer to the business.
Yes.
Yeah, and it is interesting. This is all your turmoil that's coming up here. All came as a result of you hanging up the sewing machine and then throwing a shingle up on a place that you can have people come in and start doing what you do full time. So not only did that all happen, but you get that bonk in the head, you drifted away, came back, and you've ascended up the stairs a little bit more, and you have another project to do with us humans. And it's all the same. If you think about it, if you were to take a layman's look back, or a third party look at it, like I do, looking at it, and without getting into details about the moving and things like that, but the business and the bunk on the head and all this other stuff, it's all coming at the same time and getting you prepared for something a little bit bigger. So don't worry. Don't swim upstream. Just ride it.
Well, it's hard. I have to admit, when I give people advice, I know how hard it is to follow it, because, recently I was told, I always thought I knew who my twin flame was. I thought I was very blessed to know him, even for a short period of time. And I always kind of felt that was important, that was something that was needed in my life, because his words, when the time was right, really changed my life. It's been recently revealed to me that wasn't my twin flame. That the spirit I thought was following me, that yes, this energy is following me, but they're all soulmates, not twin flame. So here I am, totally without a twin flame now. Mm-hmm. I'm having spirit go, we're ripping this out from under you now, and we're ripping that out from under you, and how's that concussion of yours? Should we bonk you on the head again? And it's just, it's really, it's very bizarre. I'm sitting here going, oh my God, where am I going? I had one friend, a very gifted psychic who I'd like to get on the show with me one day. His name is Seth. Fabulous, amazingly gifted. It's funny because me and him are very similar in some ways and very different in others. It's absolutely a great mix between the two of us. And he said one of the hard things that you're going to be experiencing soon is you're no longer going to get along, or not necessarily not get along with, but I'm going to have a harder time being human, getting along with humans, in the essence of connecting with them.
Oh.
And I thought that was interesting. And everyone, yeah.
You need a good alien to hang out with.
I've had some very interesting things coming to me since then. I don't know if I want to invite any more.
Hey, I've got a question for you. A buddy of mine, Wyatt, in West Virginia, we talked to him a while ago, and he had, that you asked him, you said he had to do, he needed to do some Reiki and etc. And he was wondering if you have any thoughts about YouTube meditations or that kind of thing. Also, do you have any idea about the past family, that kind of thing, his family in the past?
Past life family, or just this line's past?
It's not clarified in the question.
Okay. As far as online meditations, if you find one that really works for you, I've been guided to check some out. For a good number of people, they work really well. Me, I can't do them because I start astral lucid traveling, and it gets really weird. So until I figure out how to do that safely, I stay back. But I have found some really good ones that aren't scary for me. They're Shiva based.
Sorry, they're what? What did you say?
They're Shiva, the Hindu god Shiva.
Oh, Shiva. Okay.
And they seem to be working really well. So there are some really good ones out there. Just be sure you find one that resonates with you. Don't make yourself resonate to it. Make sure that it resonates with you. And don't be real auspicious about finding a purpose. Just find one that's kind of a general catch-all.
Okay. Interesting.
The one I do is a meditation just for the sake of meditation through Shiva, because Shiva is one of the meditation masters.
Is that the elephant?
No, that's Ganesh. And
Ganesh, okay.
Ganesh is Shiva's son.
Okay.
I'm learning a lot of this, so I apologize if I say something wrong or mispronounce a name. But yeah, Ganesh is Shiva's son. His wife, it starts with a P. I apologize if I slaughter it, but it's Pavrati, I think. I apologize if I just said that wrong. But one of the stories is that she was going to be taking a bath, but nobody was there. So she made a little boy to watch the door, and it became Ganesh. So he adopted Ganesh, and that was their thing.
Okay.
But
I'm just going to clarify what if he was talking about he says any idea about the past family, because I don't remember the conversation exactly. The past, is that Wyatt? Was that the past family meaning this generation kind of family, or your grandparents, or are you talking about past life and connected family from outside of this realm? And I'm just waiting for him to answer. But what are you getting right now?
The one that I'm being pulled to is actually his past lives family.
Oh, okay.
And the only reason I could think he's asking about that, what they're telling me, is that he's met some people who are resonating with him. So.
Oh, I get it.
He's trying to figure out that.
I think I get the same thing, Wyatt. I'll bump into somebody on the other side of the friggin' planet, and it's like I've known them all my life. We'll become really good friends, and then we, off we go in our different directions. But it's not everybody. Can you connect through your guides right now to his guides? Can you tell Wyatt who that is?
I'm hoping this is right, but they're telling me it's a female friend.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because this female friend, it almost feels like she's a lot of male energy, which isn't unusual to have a very feminine female friend with a lot of male masculine energy. That's usually why guys tend to get along better with those women, because they do have that male energy to them. She's tied to him through several past lives, which is why he's connecting. Unfortunately, humans, we tend to mistake soulmates for romantic or sentiment, and I'm using romantic in a very broad term, because we tend to romanticize ideas, and this is something that we romanticize. It doesn't necessarily have to do with love, but it's in that general feeling of we start building things around it, we start creating stories around it.
Would this be this person be a soulmate, or is this something romantic?
It's a soulmate, but story's not written yet.
Oh, the story's not written. And what would that mean?
It means that right now there's crossroads. It's a could be, should be type deal where there's multiple paths that can be taken.
Okay. So when you say it's not written, it's still there's a number of directions to go.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when we come down to this world, we and I understand if you agree or don't. Just go with me on this. There's certain things that we kind of, okay, this, and this are going to happen. We're going to experience these lessons, these things. But then there's free will.
Yeah.
Where we can alter the story in a way. We still get the lessons, but we can choose an easier path or a harder path, or completely avoid it with at this time and catch it later, or whatever. And it's all depending on the choices we make as these opportunities are presented. And he's at a point where there's an opportunity being presented. So that's where it's at. It's not written yet because he's got to choose what he's going to do at this point. And they've got to choose. They've also got their free will, so they get to choose as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. And I'm kind of I'm getting the messages, and we are kind of a ways from each other. He's in West Virginia, and I'm in Western Canada. Hey, so we're both from the Old West. Yeah. So it is interesting because you and I talked about soulmates and twin flames and these other things, and I still try to get that straight in my head. I know people. I can look at somebody and say, yeah, I've known you for a long time, or I have an automatic connection to you. And I find that we use the term empath to empath. Okay, we both have something, and on a spiritual level, we have the same thing. So there is that connection. But what the heck it was, I don't know. Now there's the twin flame, as you were, the soulmate, and as you were, I'm still a Mountie. Yeah. As you were. How would Wyatt get in touch with this guide or this person? Is that a meditation thing, or?
She's already around him.
He's saying, do I have to turn right or left?
Left, they said, then they laughed.
Yeah.
Don't trust your I want it. This is something that I'm learning, and me and Spirit are having an argument on this right now.
Oh, that'll go good for you.
Yeah, it normally does.
The burning quilt and the bump on the head. Yeah. Let's see if we can get her just...
What it is, and this is a theme that's been going for some of my readings that I've been doing in person. This person is not going to match what you physically want them to be.
Oh, he's got one of those too, does he?
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is something I've been arguing with Spirit on lately, and I know we've got 2 minutes left?
Yep.
So, in a real quick nutshell, our society has trained us to look for certain people based on what we see on TV, in the magazines, on the newspaper, what we are told is beautiful. And yeah, I have to admit, I like looking at certain men and thinking of them physically attractive. But there are some really good individuals who don't match those physical types. And when we seek our soulmate, our twin flame, we sometimes make the mistake of looking for the outside package that's going to turn us on sexually, physically, mentally, whatever it is that we need to identify them with. This is why we sometimes confuse our soulmates for twin flames, is because sometimes our soulmate comes in a really nice package. That's not always the case, especially with twin flames, because twin flames are not only that person for us, but they're also a lesson. They're like the ultimate lesson. Soulmates are mini lessons. They help bonk us like the game of Pong. They keep bouncing us back and forth, back onto where we're supposed to be, keeping us on the path.
Oh. So
does that make sense?
It makes sense. It's sad. Very sad. It's because I'm pretty sure let's call it a soulmate, or twin flame must in fact be probably on a women's volleyball team in Sweden. But I know what you mean. It's hard, and I guess I may end up going into my next life without connecting to this twin flame in this life, because my head is too rumbling with the picture of perfection that I think. And for all you out there, just keep an open mind.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. And hey! Let's be careful out there.
Far over the snow, what are those voices? They sing as they go. What are those voices? Look up for the mountain. Because somebody hide, somebody better hide on through the hill, like a pack of angry wolves on the trail. We are after you, dead or alive. We are out to get you, dead or alive. And forget your soul. If you're the one, better run away. Son, you are done. Throw your gun away. Here come the Mounties to get the man they're after now.
People. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Dave's not here!